A very welcome to everybody in this important having and building of the national press, or in the press club popularly known as Press Club of India. And today we know that why we are assembled today, so no need for any introduction to that. But before that, I must explain something for a minute that why you have called this meeting. Because some of our members among our fraternity have raised the questions that why you have Press Club has organized a meeting on the issue of NDTV in the name of press freedom. Exactly, I want to just reply to them with a short story, which is obviously very personal to me. Recently, I have applied for a car loan. I also applied to my organization for the same, which will be definitely an interest-free loan. So both the loan actually were sanctioned simultaneously, almost. So then I went back to the bank, private bank, and told them that, look, I have already got an interest-free loan, so I cannot take your loan. Well, why, sir? Perhaps he was losing his business. He said, no, it's very good that you have got an interest-free loan. You can use that loan for your personal purpose, buy some new sofa set, or exchange your old mobile, or you can have many accessories with that. But after that, within 1 year, if you pay me the back, the rest amount, I will give you a reduced rate of interest. I was so happy. I went back home with all my dreams that my household would be changed, my family is happy. In the morning, suddenly I came to know that NDTV was raided by CBI. Initially, I thought perhaps we have done something wrong, perhaps that's why CBI has gone. So I tried to see in the website, I read the statement. It was not very convincing for me, I must be frank. After that in the evening, I got a clarification from CBI. Even that was also not very convincing for me or for us, some of us. Then we decided to issue a statement. In the statement, actually, operative part was that we want a clear answers from the government about the facts. What is the fact? So nothing came out from the government, only a few statements from some ministers. Next day, in the evening, I think on the same day in the evening, CBI has come out with the second clarification. I read both these clarifications and I found that the two important charges have been made against NDTV, that they have taken a loan from a bank, private bank, which they have paid. And secondly, they have paid with a reduced rate of interest. Very next day I went to the private bank. I can't take your loan because the moment I take your loan with a reduced rate of interest, CBI will come. Being a Bengali, I know that police chule 18, Badhe chule 18, police chule 36. If tiger hurts you, then you will get interest on you and 18 wounds. But if police, then it's 36. Why a poor fellow will invite CBI? He was quite perplexed to see, and he wanted to know from his bosses, is this a crime to repay loan with a reduced rate of interest? Actually, those are the questions on our mind. Nothing to do with anything with against government or against anybody. We wanted to know what is the fact actually. So that is my precisely the answer. Secondly, after that, I discussed with my colleagues, and you know my Secretary General Binay Kumar, who is a very veteran journalist, and for the last 3 decades he has been covering CBI, and he is one of the accomplished journalists. He had a field day, very good equation, which are all good cops and bad cops. So he talked to them. Then he became more, he confused me more. After that we decided, why can't he call a meeting? Let us see what is the fact, what exactly happened. So this is our idea, to call a meeting. Then I am thankful to my media fraternity and other media organizations. We contacted Editors Guild, we contacted Press Association, contacted then IWPC, other journalist unions. And before coming here, I got a message from CBI. If you are discussing very fine, please mention our point also. So already I have mentioned that point, that if they are saying nothing about repaying of loan, but only a reduced rate of interest. So that's why that particular bank has lost some revenue. I said, look, if I would have got that loan from the bank for my car, then perhaps the bank would have lost some revenue. So I was scared. So after that, we decided to talk to everybody. Then we called everyone, we consulted everyone, tried to consult as many as people, and I am very grateful that many of them come. Particularly the man of the moment, Dr. Pranay Roy, has found time to come here. I think he will speak before you. And I have also invited many senior journalists here. But one thing I should say before, there are also many other issues which concerns the working journalists. And they are very bothered about it. They told me that, Dada, please refer to this issue also. Actually, those are very important issues, but we cannot divert the main focus. So that's why we will discuss later on all those issues. Like yesterday, one government media, All India Radio people came to me and told me that because they run a show or a program on the mother tongue of various states, that department has been closed down. They say, why can't you raise? Well, government has the prerogative, they can do whatever they can do with that department, but we can only request to please consider it a human thing. So that's the idea. Shortly, I don't want to bother you more. Already I am giving a long lecture. So I think people, those are man of the moment and other editors we have seen, so they now will call, they will now speak, and first I will call. Oh, sir. Oh. There is a short video for you people. You please watch that and have your own conclusions. Thank you very much.
No individual or institution is above the law, but neither can the law-making authorities misuse their discretionary powers to arbitrarily target or victimize an individual in a mala fide manner. That's where I'm coming from on the entire issue of Pranay Roy and Radhika Roy being raided and having FIRs filed against them in an alleged case of a bank fraud. All I am saying at the moment is that I have known the Roys for almost a quarter of a century. I spent 11 of the best years of my life at NDTV, and I can vouch that I haven't met people of greater integrity than Pranay and Radhika Roy. I will also say this, that Pranay Roy in a sense represents the credibility of the Indian television news media in particular. Which is why it is incumbent on the authorities that if they have evidence of illegality, put it out in the public domain. But do not run smear campaigns of character assassination or in a sense create a smoke screen where harassment becomes an end in itself. As I said, I am not here to defend the Roys. But yes, I do believe that one must stop this entire campaign where you are presuming the guilt of an individual even before giving that individual the chance to prove his or her innocence. I do believe that in the present atmosphere, silence is not an option. We must speak up, because today it is the Roys, tomorrow it could be someone else. These are moments when we must be on the right side of history.
Good, nice.
May I now request senior journalist and editor Mr. S. Nihal Singh to say a few words on this issue. Okay.
Well, friends, thank you very much for having me over, but I think this is a very symbolic moment in many ways. The problem, the essence of the problem is very simple, I think, which is basically that the 3-year-old government is trying to intimidate media or buy it up as much as possible. And since in my heyday it was print which was the king, now it has the accent is more on television news and mobiles, as Mr. Modi himself has said. The problem is, what do we do about it? Well, one thing we have done, and I'm grateful to the Press Club of India for doing it, is to have this kind of function at which we can voice our opinions and to suggest that there is more to it than meets the eye. The other is, as we have seen, at least people of my generation have seen in the emergency, unfortunately most of the media folded their hands and did what the government wanted them to do. That is the sad part of our fraternity, which we have to acknowledge. So I hope that in this new circumstance, which is basically emergency was a blunt instrument, I think, the present administration, in my view, is more efficient and more ruthless. And therefore we have to devise policies which will counter these moves of the government and raise greater awareness among the people of the country that they know.
Friends, long time ago we assembled in this very place, and those are the days of emergency. Not that emergency was a surprise, but Mrs. Gandhi was on a wrong track. She wanted committed journalists, committed judiciary, committed bureaucracy. This time we are reminded of the same thing. Again, we want commitment to their ideology, and those who don't fall in line, they will meet the fate of NDTV, and this is a warning sign. During emergency, there was a meeting here organized by none else than Mr. Kuldeep Nair. I was one of them. People turned up, and next stage was Mr. Kuldeep Nair was in the jail. It can happen again. During emergency, the record of the press was not very noble, what it ought to have been, excepting for the Indian Express, the Statesman, Economic and Political Weekly, and A.D. Gaurwala's Opinion, little magazine. They stood up, but the rest of the press, by and large, there can be exception in the regional press, was not that noble that it ought to be. They crawled, actually, as Advani said. Then came the defamation bill. By this time, the press was very conscious. Here was a bill, defamation bill, brought forward to stop exposures. You all know what it was about, the Bofors. They could pass in the Lok Sabha without notice. 3.5 hours it took the bill to be passed, and next day they were to offload into the Rajya Sabha. Entire press united. Many of us went on front page. Other efforts were made. Debates were there. All the organizations of the newspaper across the country joined in. It became a national movement. Rajiv Gandhi at that time offered talks. Talks were refused. We had meetings. We used to meet on Firozshah Road. Said no talk, nobody to talk to Rajiv Gandhi. It was a malified measure, and it has to be withdrawn unilaterally. The fact is the unity of journalists, which had the backing of the people behind it, born out of the emergency failure, won the battle. They had to withdraw the bill. The government of 402 seats in parliament, later on became 413, had to withdraw the bill because the people were against. Similar signs are visible now. Here also, there has to be nationalistic press, nationalistic judiciary, nationalistic bureaucracy, everything. Now the signs are similar, so unless we do something right now, unless we're united, unless we are aware of the dangers, we can meet the same fate. One of the most distorted actors is a dispute between a bank and a client. There are ways to sort it out. You are letting Vijay Malaya go, you are letting Lalit Modi escape on one-way ticket, not a two-way ticket either. Neither Vijay Malaya has bought the two-way ticket, nor Lalit Modi has bought the two-way ticket. And you're holding one of the rows, holding up one of the, raiding the house of one of the most respected journalists of the country. If this is not an attack on the freedom of the press, what could have been sorted by the bank and the client, the press has to pay the price for it. This is the result. This is not meant only for NDTV. Let's face facts. This is a warning to all others that if you don't fall in line, you will meet the similar fate. Without realizing, you are sowing the seeds of dissent getting more encouragement. It's a wake-up call, and people are waking up more as what's happening in the many parts of the country. The dissent is leading to anger, and anger is leading to many other things. So this is a wake-up call. I think we should be cautious and vigilant about further attacks. And this should be undone, this kind of things, which is CBI being used to curb the freedom of the press. There can't be anything worse. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Dua. Wake-up call, as you said, indeed. Does we have amongst us, Mr. T.N. Nainan has also come, Mr. Shekhar Gupta is here, and Mr. Raj Chengappa from Editors Guild. I will request Raj, please come here. Now we have with us, we are honored to have Mr. Fali Nariman, one of the best legal brains India has ever produced, very fine, eminent jurist and a former parliamentarian also. Mr. Nariman will talk about the issue and the broader issue as well.
Friends, I am a stranger here. I'm neither a journalist, I don't own a newspaper or a channel. And the reason why I'm here, I must tell you. I come here on invitation to say a few words to you, not just because I believe and have always believed in our constitutionally guaranteed press or media freedom, but more importantly and more significantly, for me at least, because I also believe in the independence, integrity and honesty of Pranoy Roy of NDTV, who has been a friend for more than 30 years and on whose invitation I attend this meeting. As to the topic, press freedom, we are here speaking amongst the people who are already converted. We citizens enjoy freedoms that are not enjoyed in most places in the continent of Asia. I did not realize this until a few years ago when my wife and I attended the Commonwealth Law Conference in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. One of the delegates was a retired judge of Malaysia's Court of Appeal, and he told a crowded hall of over 1,000 delegates in the presence of the then Prime Minister, Mr. Mahathir, who, as you know, was not exactly a liberal. He said in a loud voice, "Our written constitution guarantees freedom of speech." Loud applause. Then after a pause, he added, looking towards his Prime Minister, "But it does not guarantee freedom after speech." This is exactly what happened. Freedom after speech is really what freedom of speech is all about. Please, all of you, never forget this. You are allowed to speak. Speak as much as you like. But there is one fellow waiting there to nab you and put you in so that you can't speak again. That is the protection that we are asking for. But let me make one thing clear. No one is immune from being prosecuted for a criminal offense. Let's get this very clear. Not any of you, nor I, nor Pranoy Roy, nor NDTV. They can all be prosecuted. but the manner and circumstances and the so-called justification of the CBI raids give me reason to believe that all this, that is the raids and the FIR filed by the CBI, are definitely an unjustified attack on press and media freedom. Let me tell you why. In this instance, on 2nd of June 2017, note the date, a first information report is lodged by the CBI with the CBI court, as it is called, alleging criminal conspiracy, cheating and criminal misconduct on the part of NDTV, Pranoy Roy, his wife Radhika, unknown officials of ICICI Bank, about something that took place during the financial year 2008-2009. Mark that please, 7 years after 2008-2009, this complaint is filed as an FIR in the CBI court. The FIR was lodged by the CBI on the basis not of any discovery of its own, but only and solely on the basis of information supplied by one gentleman, Sanjay Dutt, Director of Quantum Securities Limited, to the Director CBI in his letter of complaint dated, mark the date, 28th April 2017, marked confidential. Although the criminal misconduct was said to have occurred in 2008-2009, as to why it was not brought to light earlier was not mentioned either in the letter nor in the complaint. Nor did the CBI bother to find out why something that happened in the year 2008-2009 was not brought to the notice of the CBI court or any other criminal court or any other person before 28th April 2007. The entire FIR filed by the CBI before the CBI court is based only on information supplied in the complaint of Sanjay Dutt in his letter of 28th April 2017. What is of great significance is that prior to filing his complaint with the CBI in his letter of 28th April by Sanjay Dutt, although he had sent more than 200 emails to NDTV on various matters, he had not addressed any communication to NDTV, making specific allegations mentioned in his complaint to the CBI. Nor does he explain why he did not file an FIR in a criminal court, himself alleging breaches of criminal law. In the first place, I don't know whether on any other occasion, merely on an application or a complaint of one person about a third person committing an act of criminal misconduct, the CBI immediately institutes a criminal inquiry. I should have thought the CBI would say, you go to a criminal court and file your criminal case. There's no difficulty. At which there would not have been the necessity of such a meeting. Because if a criminal case is filed by Mr. Pranoy Roy, however much we may like him, we cannot, in the garb of press freedom, say that he should be exonerated. Anybody is entitled to file a criminal complaint against anybody, including an editor, a journalist, etc. But the importance of this matter is that an individual, a private individual, having some grouse against a particular channel, does not himself file a complaint alleging breach of trust, breach of this and breach of that, but goes to the CBI that you please have this investigated, and the CBI obliges by promptly filing this particular FIR and preceded by raids which are carried out and widely publicized. More importantly, on receiving such a complaint, what is the obligation of an investigative agency of the state? Nobody has mentioned this. Let us assume that Mr. Sanjay Dutt filed his letter of complaint to the CBI about a particular thing that has happened to third parties. Obviously, the first thing it would do, in fairness, would be to ask the persons against whom allegations are made, that is NDTV and ICICI Bank, as to what they have to say in the matter. Particularly since the allegations now made in 2017 are in respect of events of the year 2008 and 2009. But no such inquiry was made by the CBI before conducting the raids on 5th June 2017, nor before filing of the FIR on 2nd June. Not a single letter of CBI to NDTV with regard to allegations made in Sanjay Dutt's letter of 28th April 2017. My legal submission is, and please note this, that in the case of an allegation by any government or governmental agency, including the CBI, of criminal wrongdoing against the press or the media, which enjoys constitutionally guaranteed press freedom, whenever the CBI files a criminal complaint, an FIR, not of its own, but on the basis of information supplied by a third party, it must, in furtherance of press freedom guaranteed under 19(1)(a), first inquire from the owners and promoters of the company running the press or the media what it has to say in the matter before conducting raids on its premises and on premises of those in charge of the press, and before filing a criminal complaint. This is must do, not as a matter of courtesy or favor, but in my view as a matter of constitutional obligation. In the present case, Pranoy Roy has assured me that he and NDTV have a complete answer to each and every statement made in the letter of 28th April, headed confidential and privileged, addressed by Sanjay Dutt to the CBI, which is a letter reproduced in full in the FIR, and that he, Pranoy Roy, has never had an opportunity to deal with its contents. I believe him. But this is not the place or occasion to debate whether NDTV has or has not committed an offence as alleged in the complaint letter. But the events immediately preceding the latter on the much publicized raids are much more significant. Please note the dates. On 1st of June, on a television program of NDTV, when Sanjay Hazarika was speaking, and the official BJP spokesperson, Mr. Sambit Patra, interrupted him, Sanjay Hazarika asked whether Sambit Patra had the right to interrupt. Sambit Patra said the following: I interrupt people only on NDTV, and I do that because NDTV has an agenda and I need to do that. At this, the anchor asked Patra to leave or to apologize. Patra, why should I leave? I will expose the NDTV agenda. I should expose you and your TV's agenda. The anchor replied that to use such kind of language and make such kind of accusation is unacceptable. But Mr. Patra persisted and said, I will expose it till the end of this debate. At which the anchor said, I am not continuing this debate with you any longer. It was after BJP party spokesman Patra's accusation on live TV on June 1st that the CBI raids took place on 5th June at Pranoy Roy's residence in Delhi, at his home in Dehradun and Mussoorie, and at the NDTV office in Delhi. I urge you to consider these events and their sequence. They must worry you as they have worried me. Pratap Bhanu Mehta, in an article in the Indian Express shortly after these raids 2 days ago, said, and I quote, once the press called all politicians cheats, the political class simply turned the tables on them by calling them prostitutes, and the result has been a wholesale delegitimization of the media. We are meeting here, I believe, to prevent further delegitimization of the media by condemning the unexplained raid on NDTV, the filing of an FIR by CBI on the basis solely of information given in a complaint in a confidential and privileged communication to the CBI, of which the CBI filed an FIR, admittedly without ascertaining from NDTV as to whether the facts stated were true or not. All this, of course, pertains to the NDTV case. When there is a single party majoritarian government in power, as there is today and in the present day, and as there was, please remember, never forget that, as there was in the years when Mrs. Indira Gandhi was Prime Minister and for a while when Rajiv Gandhi was Prime Minister, a similar situation had prevailed. Many of you may not recall it, but I do. And there were similar attacks on the freedom of the press. The one which I remember the most and mentioned to you is the attack on the Indian Express and on Mr. Goenka. I still remember that he was hauled up for, when they could find nothing, for about 120 criminal complaints filed all over the country for non-filing of certain returns, which was a requirement of some section of the Companies Act. And on instructions from the center, he was not permitted to appear by advocate, but had to appear personally. So he'd go to these 100 courts all around the country. And I told him one day that now, Goenkaji, what's the point? And as you know, at that time, Indira Gandhi was getting stronger and stronger. And I said, how many years will you do this? And he grinded his teeth. I don't know if any of you had met him. He was a great chap. He was a tiger. He grinded his teeth and said, Nariman, we must fight. Nariman, we must fight. That was his clarion call. And we fought. And ultimately, in the Supreme Court, we ultimately won because they wanted to take away the Indian Express building, which is here and publishing all the material, so that nothing could be published by the Indian Express. But in that they failed. So therefore, whenever there is a majoritarian government, there is this tendency. And therefore, we have to first resist this tendency. But then the question is, and that has been frequently put, what has that got to do with all these other channels and all these good chaps in the press? Leave it all. NDTV can suffer if they want to. But this is the sort of query to which one of the most effective answers was given long, long ago. It was in a poem written by a German priest, Martin Niemöller, and it was about the cowardice of German intellectuals following the Nazis' rise to power and the subsequent purging of chosen targets group by the Nazis. This poem is now enshrined, and you'll find a copy of it in the Holocaust Memorial Museum in New York, and this is how it goes. It's very interesting. First, they came for the communists. I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Then they came for the trade unionists. I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews. I did not speak out. I was not a Jew. Then they came for me. And there was no one left to speak for me. Please remember that. That's the most damning thing that has happened. And therefore, I request you to consider NDTV apart. They'll manage their own affairs as best as they can. But we may today contemplate, and we should contemplate, whether the blessings of a free press are really worthwhile. There are several views of this, and those that I like best are the following. One, first, the sophisticated view, given by our own Supreme Court way back in 1950, the year of the birth of our Constitution, when in Ramesh Thapar's case, the judges, 5 judges, spoke eloquently about the right of free speech and expression. This is what they said. A freedom of such amplitude might involve risks of abuse, but the framers of the Constitution may have reflected with Madison, who was the leading spirit in the preparation of the First Amendment of the US Constitution, that it is better to leave a few of its noxious branches to their luxuriant growth, rather than by pruning them away to injure the vigor of those yielding proper fruits. The other answer is not so sophisticated. It was given by an experienced political figure, a man who later became our president. It is a story of long, long ago. It was at a time when the editor of a prominent daily in Delhi had written an article of critical of some action of President Zahil Singh, and Gyaniji was so upset that he told his secretary, summon this fellow to Rashtrapati Bhavan and I will give him a dressing down. Man went, and when he called on Gyaniji, to his surprise, the Rashtrapati, all pearly white teeth that he had, embraced this editor and exchanged pleasantries and said, "Editor Saab, halchal kya hai?" The secretary, whose duty it was to inform the president why he had summoned him, curtly asked, whispered anxiously into the president's ear, "Sir, you are supposed to get angry with him." At which Zahil Singh responded, typical of the man, "Arey, unko likhne do, padhta kaun? Unko likhne do, padhta kaun?" This is perhaps a more pragmatic answer to the occasional abuses by the press of its privileges. But let me conclude with a message conveyed in one final story. And this is a true story. Mario Cuomo was governor of New York for many years. Like Gyaniji, he was a wily politician. He once addressed a prestigious body, the New York Press Club, soon after the New York Times, in an editorial, accused him of exercising political patronage as governor through his law firm run by his own son. Cuomo spoke about press freedom, and this is what he said when speaking of the First Amendment in the Constitution of the United States, like our 19(1)(a). And I'm quoting this, please listen carefully. "The founding fathers knew precisely what they were dealing with. They had a press, and the press of their time was not only guilty of bad taste and inaccuracy, it was partisan, reckless, and sometimes vicious. Indeed, the founding fathers were themselves often at the point end of the press sword. They knew the dangers. They knew that broad freedoms would be inevitably accompanied by some abuse and even harm to innocent people. Knowing all the odds, they chose to gamble on liberty. And the gamble has made us all rich and happy. Overall, the press has been a force for good, educating our people, guarding our freedom, watching our government, challenging it, goading it, revealing it, forcing it out into the open." Close inverted commas. I suggest that on this day, we adopt Governor Cuomo's message and gamble on liberty. There is no other democratic way. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Mr. Nariman, for those enlightening speech and interesting quotations and reminding us of the freedom of the press and how we have to protect it with all our might. Friends, we had invited Mr. Arun Puri also, Editor-in-Chief of India Today and TV Today Group, but he is not in Delhi. Javed Ansari has just received a message from him. He'll just read out the message. And once again, I express my thanks to all our co-organizers like DUJ, Editors Guild of India, IWPC, IJU, and all other journalist bodies who have chipped in organizing this successful meeting. So Javed will read out a message from Mr. Puri.
Friends, Mr. Puri unfortunately is not in town and hence cannot attend this meeting. I am reading out a statement on his behalf. It reads as follows. "I strongly believe that the freedom of the media is inviolable in a democracy, and any move to intimidate directly or indirectly is a cause for alarm and is against our democratic traditions. Such a move also undermines the basic tenets of free speech enshrined in the Constitution of India. I have always maintained that none of us in the media are above the law. The onus is on us to uphold the highest journalistic standards of fairness, balance and integrity combined with exemplary corporate governance." Thank you.
Thank you, Javed Ansari. We have a veteran editor and who has fought many struggles. He has been source of inspiration for all of us. हम सभी के प्रेरणा स्रोत और जो हमको समय समय पर सही राह दिखाने के लिए तत्पर रहते हैं, मैं गुजारिश कर रहा हूँ कुलदीप नायर साहब से कि वो कुछ कहें.
Pranay, Roy and all other present, I recall that the emergency, I thought they would not repeat it. but they have done it. But at that time, I recall the people, Arun Shori, who was not in the press, but he was writing from outside, and Shekhar Gupta, who was a colleague, and of course, Dua was there. So, but those days, I must say, that nobody had to tell anybody what to do or think. All knew, all had that conviction that, look here, we would never allow the press to be muzzled. It happened, no doubt, but these are the people who did not, and then they offered. See, in the Indian Express became the symbol at that time. It was not that the owner, Ramnath Goenka, was telling us what to do or not, but we all, in our own way, because it had become a cause, and we were in all our way contributed to it. So today I am just, when we are facing more or less the same kind of situation, not to that extent, that all journalists, all of us, have this, should have this commitment that, look here, as far as the freedom of press is concerned, we would not allow, we cannot allow anybody to muzzle it. So that commitment we must have. As I said, this commitment goaded us during the emergency, and this new government, which suffered during, some of them suffered during the emergency, they are following the same path. I believe, I feel very sorry for them, but I am very much happy that the journalists now have been awakened. You don't have to tell journalists, they are there. And last time, when I had the same meeting, I asked them to sign, and there were only 73 people who signed. I still have the list. Today, I don't think it will. I think today, if I were to ask, all of them will sign, because now we know, at that time we also knew, but now we know that press is the foundation of democracy and secular ethos. I remember independence movement when we were fighting about it. There was only idea of India. And what was the idea of India? Democratic and secular. Today, I am very happy that so many people are coming. But let's commit again to the same idea of India. This country must remain democratic and secular. Thank you very much.
Friends, we have President of Editors Guild of India, Mr. Raj Chingappa with us. Thanks Raj for having made you here. Please come and say a few words.
I wasn't expected to say anything. We have given our support, and to the and I think we've made our our beliefs quite clear on this matter by issuing a statement in support of Pranoy Roy and NDTV. And of course, we're deeply concerned of what has happened. Any attack or any raids is a serious threat, particularly if newspaper residences are being raided in a manner that the CBI did. We've of course always maintained that the media is not above the law or any individual, but any attempt to muzzle the press is condemnable. And we stand by what we said, and we hope that the government will take note of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Raj, for that quick intervention. And अब जिसको कहना चाहिए कि दिल थाम के बैठिए, शौरी साहब हमारे साथ हैं. So on such a short notice, I informed him yesterday, and he was gracious enough, kind enough to have accepted our invitation. And he's economist, academician, journalist, editor, and parliamentarian and former minister. in Atalji's government. So here's Mr. Arun Shourie.
Sirs, my dear friends, I want to first begin by expressing my deep gratitude to Narendra Modi. He has brought so many friends together. And as a return favor, I want to read him a couplet which Kuldeep Nair will tell us who it is by. कि तुझसे पहले जो यहाँ तख्त नशी था, he who was occupying this throne before you, तुझसे पहले जो यहाँ तख्त नशी था, उसको भी अपने खुदा होने का उतना ही यकीन था. And as that is from a Pakistani poet, I better sort of protect myself by reading from the Granth Sahib. राम गयो, रावण गयो, जाके बहु परिवार. ये भी जाएंगे. So we must have that confidence, and as there is no fact that needs to be added, no point in law needs to be added after the person who has been the shield of freedom in India, Mr. Fali Nariman, has given us such a good exposition. I will address the question which Nihal Singh Saab proposed. The question is, what should we do? And as which Mr. Kuldeep Nair said that it was not necessary to answer this question at the time of the emergency. But the fact of the matter is that every generation is taught the lesson of freedom. So this time, once again, that lesson has begun. The first thing we must do is to recognize that a new phase has begun. Because thus far, the government was using two instruments. One was to stuff the mouths of the media with the bribe of advertisements. It is said in Zulu, there is a Zulu proverb that a dog with a bone in his mouth can't bark. So they were converting the media into a dog with the advertisements in its mouth that cannot bark at them. And the second point was that they were controlling and managing the media by the subterranean spreading of fear. अरे तुम जानते नहीं हो, मोदी सब सुन रहा है, उसके पास सारी टीम है, ये है वो है, अमित शाह सीबीआई को कंट्रोल करता है, कल तुम्हारे पर ये होगा. अरे यार ये हो गया है, फिर भी आदमी जिंदा है, फिर भी चैनल चल रही है. So you must see that now they have got what they could from those two instruments. So now they are using the third instrument, which is overt pressure, and they have made NDTV an example of that. And this will intensify in the coming months. I believe this will intensify. One, because of the nature of the regime. The nature of the regime is its genes are totalitarian. What does totalitarian mean? Total domination in the entire geography of India, in every sphere of life, in all fora, they must dominate. So they are extending it step by step if you look at the pattern. The second is that the gap between what they claim in their advertisements and speeches and what the people are feeling on the ground in their lives, whether you are a farmer or a person who's losing his job, that is so wide already, but that will become wider in the next 2 years as investment doesn't revive and so on, other things happen. And for that reason, they will then take to not just managing but suppressing voices of dissent. So that's the first thing to realize. The second is that we must proceed with the full faith that, as Mr. Nariman reminded us, as Kuldeep has demonstrated with his own life, throughout his life, that anybody in India who has raised his hand against the press against the media has had their hand burnt and has had to withdraw it. Jagannath Mishra's press bill, Rajiv Gandhi's bill, Mrs. Gandhi taking over and the Indian Express, removing Ramnathji and putting a pseudo board there. Everybody who raised a hand against the media had the hand burnt and had to withdraw. Dua was just reminding us that at the time of defamation bill we had a meeting here, but I tell you, you and I both know we did not have this many persons at that time as we have today. The second point I would like to throw, the facts are clear. Nariman has put them out, NDTV has put them out, CBI is not able to answer those facts. Actually, there is a story on the wire today, I think, what has happened to the complaints that were filed by not just private individuals, but by the Directorate of Revenue Intelligence against two of the biggest houses for defrauding the country of 30,000 crores and causing a loss to the exchequer, and how the CBI has not acted on that. So the facts are irrefutable, but I want to suggest something else. This is not the time to sit in judgment on each other. I say this from the experience of my personal life. When you have to serve, your service must be absolutely non-judgmental, because the mind suggests so many reasons as to why I need not help him. अरे यार वो cigarette सारी उम्र पीता था, अब उसको cancer होना ही है, now let him suffer. No, that's not the time to sit in judgment. You must go to the support and help and assistance and service of your friend, because they will try to divide the press by insinuating such things, and they will use you, they will use the existing media to defame the rest of the media. So please do not become instruments in that. Second thing is, stand by each other, because I can assure you that nothing demoralizes persons as much as the fact that their peers have not stood by them. I have seen this in civil service, among civil servants, when in the last regime inquiries were, 3 CBI inquiries were instituted against decisions that were taken under me by the civil servants. And I had told the CBI that, I wrote to them, that they are not responsible for anything, I am the one who took those decisions. But the fact that the rest of the civil service did not stand by those civil servants really demoralized them. So we must stand by each other in this. Fali Nariman quoted those very famous lines of a Lutheran pastor in Germany who opposed the sort of what Hitler called the coordination of churches. But there is an even 2,000-year-old thing from Rabbi Hillel, which says, if I am not for myself, who will be for me? If I am not for myself, if I don't fight for myself, who will be for me? If I am for myself alone, who am I? If not now, when? And I tell you, it is my grievance against my colleagues in the press that we have not been vigilant in this score. Last year, by accident, I happened to be called to Jaipur for a journalists' meet, and it was there I learned the harassment and financial loss which had been inflicted upon the Rajasthan Patrika. But as an average reader of New Delhi newspapers, of Delhi newspapers, I did not know of that at all. So we must be on the lookout for any attempt, not just to a very prominent person like Prannoy, but to any attempt anywhere in the country, because that is how fear is spread in those regions, and we must. And the reason for that is that governments watch reactions. You can be absolutely certain that the fact that so many journalists have gathered here is being watched by the government. And I can tell you, they are very sensitive even to the social media. एक पूरी टीम है उनकी, वो देखती है कि ट्विटर पर क्या चल रहा है, फेसबुक पर क्या चल रहा है. तो जब वो देखेंगे इतने लोग इकट्ठा हुए हैं, रवीश कुमार जैसे निडर लोग इकट्ठा हुए हैं, तो वो जानेंगे कि भाई उन्होंने एक गलत स्टेप लिया है, एंड दे हैव टू फाइंड वेज टू रिट्रीट इट. But there is a way in which we help governments, because the easiest cop out for journalists is to tell what they call both sides of the story. रोना रॉय के पास आके पूछ लो, सर what are the facts? फिर जाकर CBI के पास पूछ लो, सर what are the facts? This business of neutrality, perfect neutrality between the man who sets fire and the firefighter. This is the way the governments will use you. So you must resist it. Sir, therefore, go beyond this and watch out for the least step which is taken to stop the free flow of free information. It is a very sad thing that we have not reacted as a community to the way the RTI is being choked. Rajkamal Jha of Indian Express was telling me they are doing excellent work. Kuldeep ji, Nihal Singh, both of them have been the editors there. Sir, they are doing excellent work on using the RTI to excavate information from the government. But Raj was saying that almost every request is turned down in the first round. And it is only at the appeal stage, which you have to persist for many months, that maybe you will get some distorted or some partial information. But we in the press are not broadcasting this fact. And yet that is one of the most precious rights which has been to this. So I would urge that any encroachment on the freedom of the flow of information, not just on the freedom of speech. Fali will remind us, just as Bhagwati has said, that I can speak only if I have information. So the freedom to acquire information, receive information, flows from the freedom of speech. Then I feel that we should, the government is using the social media to spread lies and abuse against anyone it does not like. So some of you should counter that and be as active on the social media, because Modi has a whole team that in his Prime Minister's office, headed by a boy called Hiren Joshi, whom many of you would have encountered, whose only job is to watch social media and keep the Prime Minister informed. So he's sensitive to that. That's his weakness. And especially what is happening in foreign media. So inform foreign media of everything that is happening here. And secondly, use social media to inform the government that we also are watching what you are watching. One important point I want to make, because I have seen that in the last 3-4 years, many journalists have succumbed to this. And that is, never delude yourself into believing that a little concession will buy you peace. Many of you think that if you give prominence to the articles of some of these ministers, or if you give them airtime, they will help you in a crisis. अब मेरा दोस्त था वेंकैया नायडू, हमारे अपने पेपर में, इंडियन एक्सप्रेस में, उसके 3/4 of a page कुलदीप जी ने मुझे को नहीं दिए उतनी स्पेस. वो वेंकैया नायडू के आर्टिकल है. वो वेंकैया नायडू को आपको तीसरी क्लास की जो छोटी नोटबुक होती है वो दीजिए, and ask him to fill 1 page coherently on any random thing. मगर आप उसके आर्टिकल छापे जा रहे हो when you know that he cannot write. So because you think that by giving him that space, by giving that much airtime to these fellows, you are buying peace. No. In fact, when the assault comes on you, none of them will help. एक तो बात यह है कि भाई यहाँ तो कोई मिनिस्टर तो कोई है नहीं, सरकार ढाई आदमियों की सरकार है. तो ये बेचारे तो स्वामी अग्निवेश के वो जो बंधुआ मजदूर हैं, तो वो आपको हेल्प उस तरह नहीं कर सकते. But in fact what they will be doing is that if some one of them is a friend of Pranay Roy, he will be fearing कि Modi will think I am a friend of Pranay Roy, तो इससे दूर रहो. So don't think that you can buy peace by making some small concessions. Instead of buying peace with concessions, I would urge non-cooperation, boycott. सबने दुआ साहब ने हमें याद कराया defamation bill के बारे में. Sir, one of the most effective instruments we used at that time was that we, by just telephoning editors all over the country, we said, please do one thing. If a minister of Rajiv Gandhi's government comes to your city, in the press conference, first ask him, are you for or against the defamation bill? If he does not answer, or if he gives an ambiguous answer, or if he says yes, just get up and leave. This publicity, Margaret Thatcher said, publicity is the oxygen of terrorists, is the oxygen of these बंधुआ labor also. वो दिखाना चाहते हैं मोदी को कि साहब मैंने इतनी अच्छी तकरीर दी, मेरी इतनी coverage हुई, so just deny them that. Just boycott their press conferences. Never call to your meetings, never call to your functions somebody whom you would not call but for the fact that he is a minister. Just do that little bit of non-cooperation and see the effect. And I would think there is no country in the world in which official pronouncements are given as much space and prominence as in India. You should publish them as in the classified advertisement page. And instead you should republish what alt news, what SM Hoaxslayer, what Boom Fact Check, what these sites are excavating when they are comparing the claims of government with the facts and excavating them. Why leave it there? Today, papers republish the so-called tweets of Sharad Yadav, of Narendra Modi, of so and so. अरे उसमें क्या विजडम रखा है? उतनी ही स्पेस में आप बतलाइए कि ऑल्ट न्यूज ने आज क्या छापा है. उससे जो ट्रूथ है वो बाहर आएगा. Therefore, and by now you know their techniques. One of their techniques is that if, I'll just finish with just 3 more suggestions. One of their techniques is that if something inconvenient happens today, they say, "Arey, start another story just now," so that people are diverted. So don't become instruments for distracting your viewers and your readers. Keep their focus on the main story. That is very important, that you don't do their work. Next point is redouble the work which is annoying the government. The best guarantee to you that you are on the right track is that the government is annoyed with what you are finding out. I think Arun Puri used to have this slogan there, or forget that news is what the government wants to hide. Everything else is propaganda. So you should excavate that. In the end, please remember that we have only 3 protections. One is our solidarity. Second is the courts. Therefore, give great prominence to every step by the government to undermine the judiciary. It is very necessary. And the third is the protection of our own readers and of our viewers. Therefore, even as I was saying, use Twitter and Facebook, but that is to inform the government. But do not become Twitter handles yourselves. You must go into the depth of facts on those issues which are of real life and death issues for the reader, so that when the hand is raised against you, the reader feels that the hand has been raised against him or her. And finally, I believe that not a year will not pass now that it will become almost impossible to acquire and disseminate information through normal mainstream channels or media. Therefore, it is very important that all of us turn to the youngsters who have mastery of hacking, of bypassing government censors, of using the internet creatively to acquire information and disseminate information. If the Chinese can bypass the Chinese state, then certainly we should be able to do it. With this, please make your contacts now and set up such groups of Indians here or Indians abroad to bypass the censorship of the government. And if finally they are able to control everything, don't despair. Because, as I said, firstly, everything passes, but the other fact is that when they control the media completely, then the people will see the great distance between what they are being made to swallow through the media and what is happening in their own lives. And this government, which worships cows, will be left holding dead cows. Thank you very much, and the best to you in your fight. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shourie. And we have with us former editor of Jansatta.
इतने लोग इस सारे मुद्दे पे बोल गए हैं और ये मेरे ख्याल में कहने की कोई बात ही नहीं कि एनडीटीवी पे जो हमला हुआ सरकार का सीबीआई के जरिए वो सोची समझी चाल है। और जितने लोग यहाँ आज जमा हैं उसको जब यहाँ आए तो एक बार लगा कि इतने तादाद में लोग यहाँ पे आए हैं। शुरू में लगता था कि पता नहीं कितने लोग साथ में होंगे, लेकिन इतने लोगों को देख करके हिम्मत बनती है कि पत्रकार जो हैं वो एक हैं। लेकिन ये ज़रूरी नहीं कि ये अभी जो लगता है बात सच हो, ये मुगालता भी हो सकता है, ऐसा मुझको बाद में लगा। क्योंकि आने से पहले मैं एक हमारे पत्रकार दोस्त से बात कर रहा था और वो सरकार के गनगोर खिलाफ हैं, लेकिन उन्होंने कहा कि देखिए जो भी रेड सीबीआई की है कुछ तो उसमें बात होगी। तो ये उनसे बहस हो रही थी कि देखिए ऐसा करके इस मौके पे सरकार का साथ देना है और उन लोगों को साथ देने वालों की कमी नहीं है। बहुत सारे चैनल, बहुत सारे अखबार ये काम कर रहे हैं, लेकिन अगर समझदार लोग भी अगर ये दलील दे रहे हैं तो इसका मतलब हम लोग जिनको अभी एक होना चाहिए वो सचमुच उस अनुपात में एक नहीं है। इसलिए प्रेस क्लब की ये जो आज जो लोग जमा हुए हैं, मैं इसको भीड़ तो नहीं कहूँगा, लेकिन जो आज जो ये तादाद है, ये तादाद पूरे देश में किस तरह से एक आंदोलन के रूप में उठ खड़ी होती है ये देखने की बात है। क्योंकि अगर अभी आंदोलन के रूप में अब अगर शुरुआत नहीं होती है, मीडिया एक नहीं होता है, तो मेरे ख्याल में फिर बाद में एक के बाद एक, जैसा कि नरीमन साहब ने कहा, वो हाथ किसी के भी गले पे पड़ सकता है। जिस तरह से सरकार ने किया है ये कोई नई चीज़ नहीं है। कांग्रेस के ज़माने में बहुत होता रहा, खुद वाजपेयी जी के ज़माने में होता रहा, आउटलुक पे हुआ, तहलका पे हुआ। परसों मैं और सिद्धार्थ जी जेएनयू में एक कार्यक्रम में गए हुए थे। सिद्धार्थ जी ने किस्सा सुनाया कि टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया में जब उन्होंने वाजपेयी सरकार में राउज एवेन्यू पे ज़मीनें दी गई एक के बाद एक संघ परिवार के संगठनों को, तो टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया की बिल्डिंग को रिज्यूम करने का आदेश मिल गया था। ऐसा हमारे साथ में भी हुआ। शेखर जी को मालूम है कि एक्सप्रेस की जो चंडीगढ़ पंचकुला की बिल्डिंग थी, हरियाणा के भजन लाल ने उसको रिज्यूम कर लिया था जब उनके खिलाफ सिलसिला चल रहा था। यानी कोई ना कोई तरीके से दबाने के तरीके ये बरसों से चले आ रहे हैं। लेकिन जिस तरह से इस बार एनडीटीवी पे हमला किया गया है और उसका जो पीछे का अतीत देखने में समझ में आता है। निधि के कार्यक्रम की बहुत चर्चा हुई है जो कि बहुत ठीक है, लेकिन उससे पहले एक कार्यक्रम मैंने खुद देखा था, रवीश का कार्यक्रम था जिसका सरकारोत्सव नाम था। 3 साल जब इस सरकार के हुए, जब कई चैनल बल्कि ज़्यादातर चैनल नगाड़े बजा रहे थे, उस वक्त 3 साल के मोदी सरकार के 3 साल होने पर हिंदी में रवीश कुमार बता रहे थे कि ये सब झूठे नगाड़े बज रहे हैं, और उन्होंने पूरा इतिहास बताया कि कब से ये शुरुआत होती है अमेरिका से कि ये आप साल मनाना शुरू करते हैं, सरकार के खर्चे पे आप झूठ का प्रचार करते हैं। इस तरह की चीज़ें सरकार को बर्दाश्त नहीं हो सकती हैं, ये हम लोग जानते हैं, खासकर इस सरकार को बिल्कुल बर्दाश्त नहीं हो सकती हैं। एक एक करके जितने इदारे हैं, संगठन हैं, चाहे वो कला के क्षेत्र में हो, संस्कृति के क्षेत्र में हो, अब एक मीडिया बचता है जिसको बर्बाद करना जो है उनका लक्ष्य है, क्योंकि उनमें ऐसे लोगों की संख्या अब बढ़ती चली जा रही है। शुरू में लगता था सब लोग सेल्फी के लिए उनके साथ में हैं, लेकिन धीमे धीमे करके लगने लगा कि बहुत सारे लोग नहीं भी हैं। लेकिन एनडीटीवी 3 साल पे जिस तरह से उनके खिलाफ खड़ा हुआ, मेरे ख्याल में एनडीटीवी के बहाने ये एक संदेश देने की कोशिश है, और ये कोशिश इसको समझते हुए लड़ाई एनडीटीवी की नहीं है। एनडीटीवी ने अगर कोई अपराध किया है उसके लिए कानून अपना काम करेगा, जैसा कि ये लोग कहते हैं, लेकिन कानून अपना काम करेगा, उनका काम नहीं करेगा। कानून उनका काम करेगा तो आप मान के चलिए कि ये जो फंदा है वो बढ़ते बढ़ते किसी पर भी बढ़ सकता है। इसलिए मैं यही कहना चाहता हूं कि लड़ाई जो है अब ये लड़ने का मौका आ गया है, और ये लड़ाई पत्रकारों को खुद लड़नी चाहिए। बाहर के लोग मदद करें, आए, दूसरे दलों के लोगों की सहानुभूति हमसे हो, वहां तक ठीक है, लेकिन हमारे मंच पे हमारे लोग दिखाई देने चाहिए, लगना चाहिए कि हम लोग लड़ने के लिए सक्षम हैं। और मेरा मानना ये है कि ये क्षमता जो है वो हमारे मीडिया में है। अगर इस जमावड़े को देख करके मान लें कि लोग एक हैं तो खुशी की बात है, लेकिन अगर नहीं है तो इस दायरे को हमको बढ़ाना चाहिए, ये मैं मानता हूं। धन्यवाद।
Thank you, Mr. Thanvi. 2 quick interventions we'll have. We have distinguished editor, former editor of Indian Express India Today, Mr. Shekhar Gupta with us. After that, we have Mr. T.N. Nainan and then Mr. Dr. Roy.
Just a couple of quick points. It's one of those moments when we have to forget our institutional and organizational affiliations. All of us, most of us work for some institution or the other and we are loyal to it. Some of us are trying to build new ones. But nevertheless, this is an issue that concerns the institution which is the mother of all our institutions, which is the free press. So have no doubt, this is an attack on free press. Number 2, please don't start getting distracted by this merits of the case or merits of the cases. If you want, you can read everything very carefully 100 times. Then most of you have trained to be crime reporters. Tell me, what is it that even the smartest SHO in this country would find worthy of registering a criminal case with? In fact, when we were young reporters, and many of you are young reporters, if the CBI PRO called you or whoever plants on the part of CBI at that moment and told you, boss, मेरे पास एक बड़ी जबरदस्त स्टोरी है, क्या स्टोरी है? वो एक बहुत बड़ी मीडिया कंपनी का मालिक है, उसने 9 साल पहले एक उधार लिया था, 8.5 साल पहले उसको चुका दिया, उसको 9.5% इंटरेस्ट देकर चुका दिया। अब 8.5 साल के बाद एक आदमी जिसने ना उधार दिया था ना लिया था, वो शिकायत कर रहा है कि जिस बैंक ने उसको उधार दिया उसने उसको ब्याज कम लिया। कितना ब्याज कम लिया? 9.5%. Just go back, financial year 2008-9, that is the peak of the financial meltdown globally. Government of India is busy with that economic stimulus, whereby every 2 months RBI is cutting repo rates 50 basis points. All of us know about those rates because RBI doesn't cut those anymore, right? But at that point, just check what the RBI repo rate. I suspect it will be 6.0 or 5.75. It was a perfectly profitable loan. So if CBI fellow came to you and said, ये चौथे आदमी ने मुझे complaint किया है, इसलिए मैंने उसको raid कर दिया, what will you tell him? You will tell him either, if you are reckless like me, go get your head examined, right? Or you will tell him कि boss थोड़ी better story लाओ, नहीं तो छपेगी नहीं, right? Or you will keep quiet and go home, but not worry about the merits of the case. And the third thing, please stop self-flagellating. Of the past 7-8 years, Arun talked about the use of social media. One thing that social media has done, and it's an animal to which I've got acquainted only lately, I think social media got us all disoriented. We all got abused so much that we went into a shell and we thought, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता, इसको चलने दो. But the fact is, a lot of us got influenced by it. And the media just acquired a bad conscience for no reason. And they thought that because everybody is calling us prostitutes, something must be wrong with us. So let me find out if somebody is being abused all the time, isne kuch to gadbad kari hogi. Then go research, you find nothing, you then still go on and on. Just drop that bad conscience. There are thieves everywhere, but in the business of journalism, per capita, per 100 people, per 500 people standing here, there are much fewer crooks than in any other profession. So please drop this from your conscience. We are good people, we are clean people, the rest of us are mostly good people. The bad ones will be called out. My journalism teacher in 1976, I was a student during the emergency, used to say, when we asked him, कि सर लोगों को कैसे पता लगेगा हम गड़बड़ कर रहे हैं, he used to say, आप हर सुबह जब अखबार आएगा शहर के मेन चौराहे के ऊपर नंगे खड़े होगे, तो सारे शहर को मालूम है आपके पास क्या है और क्या नहीं है. So we lead transparent lives. Please don't get trapped into all this. Nobody is a prostitute. If journalists are prostitutes and politicians are politicitudes or whatever, right? But I will not use that language. Don't use it. Don't just get intimidated by this storm of abuse. Don't get intimidated and don't hide. Go ahead and face it. And third thing to Pranay, thick skin helps. You know, those of us who've seen Ramnath Goenka from close, I mean, your problem also is that you have a clean image and you have to live by that clean image. Ramnath Goenka's classic response to something like this, when 400 cases were filed against him or God knows how many, his response was, हमें क्या फर्क पड़ता है, हमने तो दफा 302, which is murder, दफा 302 को छोड़ के IP के सारे लॉ तोड़ी हुई हैं. So right, so a little bit of thick skin helps, and all of you need to be thick skinned and please be more considerate of each other.
Thank you, Shekhar. And Mr. Nainan.
Thank you, and good evening, friends. I don't want to stand between you and Pranay, but I do want to stand here for him as an old friend and compatriot, and now as a sort of somebody who stands for all of us in what we face. I've said before that more than Pranay, it is CBI that is in the dock for the reasons that Shekhar, Mr. Nariman and all have already said. And it is not just a CBI, because if we know all the other stuff that's been aimed at NDTV, from tax cases on which nothing happens for years on end, to other matters concerning enforcement cases, where the charge, if I'm not mistaken, is that Pranay has used General Electric, one of the largest companies in the world, to be Benami. These are the charges on the basis of which our prosecuting agencies start taking action. So frankly, this is not something to lose sleep over. They will come to nothing, and I hope that NDTV will continue to do what it is doing. I think there is also time for a little introspection by all of us. Our job is to speak truth to power. Too many of us have become megaphones for those in power, and so those who do want to speak truth to power then get picked out in the manner that we've seen. So we should also be looking at ourselves to see how well we are carrying out our own mission. Thank you very much, and all the best.
Now I'll request Dr. Pranay Roy. Dr. Pranay Roy.
All of you who know me know that I really hate doing this, right? In fact, my arm was twisted by my boss. I have the same boss at work and at home. Radhika said, for once in your life, do something good. Yeah. So, but I must say that it is great to have all of you here. Honestly, it is moving, and I want to remind every one of you, we are all here because of these gentlemen. They fought this much tougher battle, and we've learned, they gave us freedom. It's in your shadow that we've tried to grow. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you very much indeed. I must say that I do remember I went to China once and I was on a panel of the Fortune magazine, and the first question they asked me, "You're from India, you've seen China. Don't you feel jealous?" Actually, I do feel a bit jealous, but I wasn't going to admit it there. I say, yeah, you've got great skyscrapers, but we have the best skyscraper of all, freedom of speech, which you don't have. Next time they didn't allow me to speak. They wanted to check my speech before I was allowed to talk. But most of all, I've got just 3 points to make. And the first point is, I'm not going to speak for long. This is not about NDTV. This is a signal for all of us. And the fact that there's no case that is a flimsy, ridiculous, concocted set of facts makes it even bigger signal. They're trying to tell us we can suppress you even if you've done nothing wrong. That's the signal. Okay, if you do something wrong, we all deserve punishment. But they're telling you we will fix you even if you're innocent. Remember that signal and fight it. We must. And be clear, it is a signal for the entire free press of India. And boy, do we love the free press. It's the most beautiful thing about India. Very few countries have this. Let's not lose it. Let's treasure it. So their basic idea is crawl or we'll come and get you. Stand up, they'll never come for you. Mark my words. And my second point is, in this whole thing, our fight and our criticism, frankly, is not against the CBI or the ED or the income tax. It's against politicians who are manipulating and want to eviscerate these institutions of our country. They want to disembowel them. We are not fighting them. The poor guys, they have families. But we are fighting, we know the politicians. They tell us off the record why they have to do this. And you'll get these politicians making all kinds of claims and using these little forces, these institutions, and ruining and destroying our country. Finally, I'd like to say, this concocted set of facts, please do not believe ever there's no smoke without a fire. Politicians can make smoke without any fire. They can do it quite easily. There's many more to come. As Nainan was mentioning, one of the factors they've said, when NBC and General Electric invested $150 million in us, they're saying, no, they didn't invest. It's a sham transaction. We send money out through Hawala. Mr. Immelt and Mr. Jeff Zucker, who's now head of CNN and was head of NBC at that time, they acted as money launderers and round trip the money back to us. That's the accusation that India is making on General Electric and the head of CNN worldwide. I'm ashamed of our politicians who can say that. It's a disgrace to our country that we should even think that and accuse people like that of that. They've also accused us, and I'm not joking, of carrying on a prostitution racket in the income tax department. NDTV carries on a prostitution racket in the income tax department. You know, we do things properly, not by half measures. They are accusing us of siphoning money, no evidence, but it's all part of the game. All I can say is here today I commit that we will answer every one of these false charges openly and transparently. All I ask is please make it a time-bound process. What has happened in the income tax case, we appealed 3 years. The appeal is in the Income Tax Appellate Authority. 3 years, not heard once. The government lawyer has asked for 21 adjournments in 3 years, and we've asked for 0. We want her to be heard. They don't want it to be heard. There's no plastic case. So if this can all be put together and in a time bound, 3 months, 6 months, overseen, open, transparent, we would just love that. And I think all of us in all our issues just ask for transparency and a deadline, please. I just also one last sentence to end with. I commit to you here that Radhika and I and NDTV have never touched 1 rupee of black money. We have never bribed one person in our lives. All the houses we bought are bought in white. Estate agent is bloody upset with us every time we ask him, but we say no, white or nothing, and he finds a place. So if you stick by your principles, you'll get the answers. And I want to say today that we will die knowing we have never bribed anybody and we've never touched black money. We will die, but most important, we will live happily ever after. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Rai. We'll all live happily ever after. I invite Shobhana Jain, President of IWPC, to propose a vote of thanks. And on behalf of Press Club of India and our managing committee, I personally thank all our participants here, eminent editors, Mr. Shauri, Mr. Shekhar Gupta, Mr. Rajangappa, Siddharth Vardarajan, and K. Venu, whoever is here, each one of you, I thank you all for having turned up in large numbers. Huh? Yeah, and we have a cup of tea also here. So, Shobhana, please come.
दोस्तों, आज आप लोगों की तादाद देखकर काफ़ी अच्छा लगा। मुझे लगा अच्छे दिनों के इंतज़ार में मीडिया के दिन कुछ खराबी चल रहे हैं, और उसमें ये देख रहे हैं हम लोग कि सवाल पूछने को एक चैलेंज माना जाता है। फ्री प्रेस की हम लोग बात करते हैं, अगर हम लोगों की वॉइसेस ऑफ डिसेंट हैं तो उन्हें ये माना जाता है कि चैलेंज है। इस दौर के जर्नलिज्म में मुझे लगता है अभी जो कहा गया कि ये लड़ाई हमारी सबकी लड़ाई है, हमारी अपनी लड़ाई है, तो इस लड़ाई में हमें ये नहीं सोचना कि आज उसके ऊपर है हमला तो शायद मेरे ऊपर कभी नहीं, मेरा नंबर अगला, यही सोचकर हमें चलना होगा। एनडीटीवी के साथ जो कुछ हुआ वो सभी कह रहे हैं, और ये सही भी है कि कानून अपना काम करे, सही है गलत है वो तय करेगा, लेकिन कानून की आड़ में इस तरीके के इंस्टीट्यूशंस जब हमला करेंगे तो मेरे ख्याल ये एक बहुत ही ख़राब शुरुआत है, और हमें यही सोचकर लड़ना होगा कि ये लड़ाई हमारी अपनी लड़ी है। आप सब लोग आए, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। अब सब जैसा कहा जा रहा है चाय के लिए सब लोग मिलें, बात करें। शुक्रिया।